welcome back to Susan Dawn's Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union, where we take a look at the masculine energies, the feminine energies, and the union energies for yourself and your own inner union and masculine, feminine, for a conscious counterpart connection, or for the global collective energies as a whole. And speaking of the global collective energies as a whole, we have a doozy of a 2025 collective year ahead reading that is going to be posted next week. We are diving deep into a recap of 2024, which has actually blown me away as I was reflecting on everything that we had channeled and predicted, the potentialities that we had predicted. A lot came to fruition and is still coming to fruition from that reading and channeling. We're going to be looking at the astrological transits for 2025, and we're going to be doing a reading similar to the one that I do with regards to the personal readings, where we're looking at the 4 quarters of the year and breaking things down, plus looking at certain themes and challenges and blessings that we might be experiencing as a collective in the year ahead. Speaking of those 2025 year ahead personal bookings, they are coming to a close next week. I might extend that a little bit, but we are finishing up the last batch of the 2025 year ahead readings, the full readings. I have also launched a fundraiser reading. I felt really pulled to do something to help support, especially the animals that are impacted by the wildfires going on in California right now. And there are a lot of rescues and shelters that are overwhelmed with emergencies and finding rehoming or finding homes for shelters, and not only the animals, not only pets, but wildlife as a whole. And so I felt really pulled to do something, and so I decided to do a shorter reading of my year ahead reading as a fundraiser as well. So the 2025 full year ahead reading, a portion of the proceeds are now going to be going to that fundraiser, to local California shelters in support of the work that they're doing. And I also have a smaller reading that's going to only focus on the current energies heading into the new year and what you need to know based on the current energies for your year ahead. So I usually start my year ahead readings with current energies and what you need to know heading into the year. So that's where the shorter reading is going to be focused on. So you can get all the details on my website in the community connections section or at susandonspiritual.com/fundraiser. And like I said, a portion of all bookings are now going to be donated to those shelters. I've picked out 2 shelters that are really boots on the ground in their emergency aid and support for animals and wildlife that are impacted by the fires. So if you would like a look ahead into your year ahead with regards especially to the current energies, or if you would like the full reading, make sure that you're booking now. I'm not quite sure how long that's going to be running, but the year ahead, the full year ahead, will be closing sometime next week. Okay, so we're going to get into the energies with regards to the sacred union, masculine and feminine energies, and the union energies. And I do want to mention a couple of things first with regards to the energy that we might be feeling. There does feel like there's momentum that is happening, and it feels like it's right underneath the surface. It doesn't feel like it's a full throttle outward momentum that is happening. Some of you might be experiencing that. You might be experiencing communication with a counterpart, for example. But for the most part, it feels like this is energetically focused. And the reason for that might be because of Mars retrograde. We're in the middle of Mars retrograde. Mars retrograde ends in February 23rd, I believe it is. And Mars retrograde is a pause, a slow down on physical action. Mars is also the god of war, so to speak, and so there might be friction and conflict that comes up, but there's also a healing that can come through for any conflict or friction that might have been experienced. So Mars retrograde, or retrograde energy as a whole, asks us to slow down and reconsider. It's all the re's, as I like to say, right? It asks us to reflect. It asks us to recalibrate. It asks us to renew ourselves. It asks us to just kind of take another look at what we might have been experiencing, or even how we might have been engaging with ourselves, with others, when there is conflict. Is there an opportunity for repair, especially if you go into an energy of disrepair within yourself or with connections, especially? Is there opportunity for repair, and how can you repair to bring that harmony back into being? And again, that's always starts within the self, and then with forgiveness, with the shadow work, the healing work, with recalibrating your own energies. But then it's always reflected in your physical relationships and partnerships. And so retrograde is asking us to just slow down, take a pause, reconsider, reflect, recalibrate. How have you been doing conflict in the past, and how can you reconsider conflict now to bring about greater healing and greater harmony within yourself and within connections? And the connection doesn't necessarily have to be with a relationship, although that seems to be the focus right now. It's also with regards to your relationship with the world around you, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God's source. Depending on what you're in conflict with, it could also be, if you have a lack mindset, a scarcity mindset, it could be your relationship with money or finances or abundance, or whatever that conflict might be showing you. Remember, whatever is being shown to you is always an opportunity for you to reflect within yourself. It's always an opportunity. It's like data points, as I like to call it with my clients. It's showing you data points for opportunities where you can recalibrate, do things differently, shift your beliefs, shift your perspectives within yourself to get into greater alignment. And that's what Mars is showing us. Mars, again, being that god of war, where have you been at war with yourself? And potentially, even because you've been at war with yourself, how have you been at war or in conflict with others or situations or experiences around you? And so it brings about an opportunity to heal any friction, any tension, any conflict. And it doesn't have to be this whole big dramatic thing. Depending on your level of consciousness and the level of work that you've done in your journey, it can just be, little triggers and moments of tension that comes up. How are you reacting? How are you responding? How are you engaging with that too? So everything is going to be a data point to show you more about yourself, opportunities to see more about yourself, and how can you recalibrate. And that seems to be the key word of this Mars retrograde. I do have coaching available. Mentoring is what I call it, guidance sessions to help break through. I work one-on-one with clients in order to break through certain aspects of any blockages or any conflict points or any of those tension points that you might be feeling with yourself or within your physical world. That could be career, finances, your spiritual development, or with a partner. And we also dive deep into that with our resources in our Ascension Connections portal and our Ascension Connections sacred membership. So make sure that if you are interested, that you always take a look at what we have to offer and the full gamut of what we have to offer. But again, I feel like this Mars retrograde is really focused on the masculine energy, which is also true of the masculine energy within you. So remember not to take these readings solely for a counterpart connection, but also for the energies within you, your inner masculine. Where are you still aligning with your inner masculine? Where are you still healing within your inner masculine? Your inner masculine is your own sacred container, where you create your own sense of safety and security, where you create your own sense of presence and consistency and leadership for your own life, where you take action for your life. We have both masculine and feminine energies within us. You hear me say that all the time. And so your union, your inner union, is about balancing both out, healing both. And what healing truly is, it's you're remembering the sacredness of both, honoring both energies within you, bringing those polarities into balance so that they're not at war with each other, right? And so that's essentially what we do on the Sacred Union Path of Ascension, is we are healing those polarities and bridging so that we can have a much more harmonious experience within ourselves, more peace, more joy, more love. And that ripples out into, number one, our sacred partnership with the twin flame, sacred partner, divine counterpart, whatever label you choose. and also with respect to all the other relationships, experiences, and interactions we have in the world. Not just people, but again, with money or career. We're constantly relating to and having relationships or connections with experiences and even material things. It's everything. It has a consciousness, and so it's how are you interacting with all those different levels of consciousness, and that comes down to your level of consciousness. And so kind of redefining that too is another reword, right? So retrograde, in the middle of retrograde right now, there's a little bit of a slowdown kind of energy and a pause kind of energy, but that's just asking you to kind of realign and recalibrate, reconsider, reflect, and there's still forward movement that is happening, but it might again just be right below the surface. What they're showing me is the ocean, and you can see how the waves crest, but you can't always see what's happening beneath the surface of the water. There's still movement. There's still, pools of fish. There's still seaweed. There's still, um, you know, life that is going on moving beneath the ocean waves. But all we see from the sand, from land, is the picture of the waves, movement of the waves. So there is still movement, but there's so much more that is happening energetically beneath the surface that we might not be able to see yet, because again, this retrograde energy is having us just kind of slow down and be mindful of the waves, be mindful of what the waves are carrying, what you're carrying. So keep that in mind, and we're going to take a look at the masculine and feminine energies and just kind of see where everything is right now. And it's remarkable to me to see how what we channel here with regards to our own personal journeys and individual ascension with the masculine and the feminine, in conscious connection or within relationship to ourselves, it is literally playing out on a global collective scale. And we really began seeing that, and tuning into that over the past couple of months, really seeing the how, as you're on this journey, you're kind of ahead of the collective because you've been on this consciousness journey, doing that inner healing work. And so it's really interesting to see how our individual journeys that we've been on is literally playing out now in the global collective, the global collective, with the rising of the feminine and the healing of the masculine. And there's a lot of division that it looks like on the surface, but that's part of the healing journey that we've been on too. It's just really incredible. Look back to where you were at the beginning of your ascension journey, when you met a counterpart, or when you were catalyzed to this ascension journey, to the sacred union path of ascension specifically, when you begin to understand the masculine and the feminine dynamics. That is where the global collective is at the beginning, so to speak, of their higher level of spiritual awakening. The global collective has been going through a spiritual awakening, but there's deeper and deeper levels. It's not just one awakening, there's many. And you can get caught in that. You can get caught in a spiritual matrix, right? And your ascension journey is moving beyond that spiritual matrix, even, and recognizing that everything is interconnected. Everything is interconnected, and recognizing yourself as empowered creators. And the more that you recognize yourself as an empowered creator, that has a ripple effect on the global collective. The more everybody recognizes themselves as empowered creators, not giving your energy to one thing or one person or one system, the more that has an impact on what we are collectively creating. And so we are collectively waking up to that, where there might have been a collective energy of being trapped in a spiritual matrix. Now Pluto in Aquarius has been huge for really dropping the walls, creating a crumbling, so to speak, of anything that is not authentic, anything that is not of that sacredness, anything that is not love. And so that's where that spiritual matrix is kind of crumbling too. And it's fascinating to see. And that's where your guidance is to keep going within, keep trusting yourself, keep believing in yourself, keep finding your truth and what resonates with your truth, while holding space for all others. Everything is interconnected, and through our ascension journey, as our inner masculine container grows, we learn how to have space for all truths, for that middle way, right? It's not about black or white, it's not about one thing or another. It's an and process. And so allowing for that and process to take root, allowing for us to hold space for the and, for all truths to coexist, all experiences to coexist. And while empowering yourself as a creator to keep tuned to those higher frequencies, to keep tuned to those higher levels of consciousness and awareness. That is your superpower. Your superpower will always be that higher level of awareness, that higher level of consciousness. Your superpower will always be your very intuition. And when you ground that, again, the balance of the masculine and the feminine, when you ground that energy, that is when a pure balance and a pure harmony is able to come into being. And that's when everything is aligned. And in your own individual life, you can see that as more joy, more peace, more happiness, more abundance, more prosperity. You're in alignment. It just feels like it's effortless. It feels like it's flowing. But we also see that in the collective. It's where, resistance is surrendered. And there's a great healing that can take place. And that's what's happening now. It's that process that we saw in our own individual journeys that is taking root now in the global collective. And so you truly are leading the way and serving as guides for people on that path. And serving as guides just means a leadership by example, just being who you are, more and more of that truth, more and more of that empowered being. And empowered does not mean you have control or power over somebody. Empowered means that you are so anchored into yourself and connected to yourself and your eternal internal truth, believing in yourself, loving yourself, honoring yourself, that your physical world has no choice but to reflect that. And the more people who does that, it has a ripple effect on the collective, because again, you're lifting people up through that energy. You're showing people what it means to live your authentic truth. You're showing people what it means to live in that energy of love. And with a counterpart too, you're doing that. What does it mean to love unconditionally? What does it mean in this new paradigm of conscious connection, conscious communication, conscious relationship? What does it mean to work together in that higher level of harmony, that higher level of love? What does it mean? And so you're literally leading by example. And I work one-on-one with clients who are literally seeing that in their own life due to their own transformation. The people around them are saying that seeing that there's a different way of loving somebody. That you can hold boundaries and hold people accountable while also loving and supporting them. That you can stand up for yourself and express yourself while also loving yourself and other people in the world around you. And one client in particular has been doing an extraordinary job through the past 9 months I've been working with her. And she has been holding space for herself. She's been holding space for her partner. She's been holding space for the situation. And through that holding space, she is able to kind of show the people around her that there's another way of being. Again, it's not about forcing people to see. It's about just leading by example, just by who you are. That is what your ascension journey is all about. Who are you? Who are you? And the more that you shift within your own energy and your own belief system and claim that empowerment and recognize that empowerment about yourselves, it has a huge ripple effect and a huge impact on the world around us. I talk more about that cosmic effect in my book, The Unity Code, or in our workshops. We go deep into that. In the Sacred Membership, we go deep into that. But this is what it's for. If you'd like to begin, I have a bunch of free channelings on the Ascension Connections portal. But this is what it's for. It is for that embodiment, Truly, you're embodying that empowerment. And that's what love is. Love is an expansive energy. And the more that you are connecting with yourself, which is why we've been so focused on, especially, divine feminines who have been externally focused on the relationship, for example, it's why it's so important to bring that energy back to yourself. It's a level of trust, it's a level of acceptance, it's a level of surrender, yes. But it's also a connection to yourself. And when you're deeply connected to yourself and in that place of empowerment, literally everything is impacted. Everything is impacted, and it has the ability to raise and amplify, because the feminine energy is the amplifier. So I don't know why I got on that tangent. Must have been a reason. Let me know if that resonated for you. But we're going to take a look now at the masculine and the feminine energies and the union. Tell me about the divine masculine energy, please. Tell me about the divine masculine. I got called to this gods, what is this? Angels, gods, and goddesses deck. Oh, goodness, I should have gotten some tea. I've been channeling all day. I'm losing my voice here. It's no wonder, because this is that kind of warrior energy that I've been feeling, especially with this Mars retrograde. It just feels like this warrior energy, like you both, masculine and feminine, like you're embodying this empowered energy. You're embodying this warrior energy. And I talk about this in my book. It comes from a channeling from many years ago. This is a new healer warrior template where you are both masculine and feminine counterparts, the healer and the warrior. The feminine is known as the healer. The masculine is known as the warrior. But as you come into that union within yourself and within your connection, you embody the healer warrior template. This is the new healer warrior. This is the new embodiment. Okay. Let's get one card, please. Divine masculine. What do we need to know for the divine masculine? Okay, I'll take these. God of Reflections and Angel of Addiction Healing. I feel like have we used this deck in the past for the Sacred Union Energy Update? Because this energy feels very familiar. So, the God of Reflections, the qualities you see in others are simply your own reflection. Again, it is no coincidence, even though I'm like, why am I saying this? Why am I channeling this? It is no coincidence. As soon as I hit record, it's my cue to spirit to begin channeling. And so even though my own ego is like, why am I saying all this? There's a purpose for it. This is what we were just talking about. This your world is a reflection of your energy, of your empowerment, of your embodiment. And the more that you are shifting into that higher octave, the more it has a ripple effect on everything around you. But it's also reflective of you as an empowered creator. You get to create. You get to create not through the lens of control. That's all the distorted energy that you're healing. That's all the old beliefs that you're clearing. The beliefs of society and upbringing and programming, etc., from the wounded nature of our world that tells us who we have to be. What you're doing is you're bringing that back to yourself and recognizing that it's just who I am. I just have to be my authentic self. And for the divine masculine in particular, that means also tapping into their feminine energy of honoring their intuition, trusting their intuition, honoring their feminine counterpart, but also their feminine energy of trusting what they're receiving, allowing themselves to express themselves and be vulnerable and be intimate. A lot of masculine energy, this could be you and your inner masculine divine feminines, but a lot of masculines energies, there's a avoidant attachment. You see this often in the runner-chaser dynamic with the masculine and the feminine, where the feminine is usually the one that has like maybe more of an anxious attachment. The masculine will have more of an avoidant attachment. Now, let me be clear that we're not talking about this as this is what this connection is. For some, that could be what the connection is. That's not what we channel here. We channel 4 sacred partners. And that might be part of your journey in discovering your truth with regards to your connection. Is it a twin flame connection and sacred partner connection? Or is it a karmic connection in which we're playing out that dynamic of anxious and avoidant? Now, you can have anxious and avoidant tendencies within a twin flame and sacred partner connection too. That might be what you are healing together in that moment. But that is part of your journey and understanding and anchoring into your truth of what your connection means. And I always say this: no guide, no guru, no healer, no psychic can ever tell you what your connection is, not even your counterpart. It is something that you hold sacred within yourself. It is a truth that you discover for yourself. And you might go many rounds with yourself, many rounds of self-doubt and wondering what your connection is. But at the end of the day, it is something that is true for you, that you anchor in to your own divine truth, what that means, what this connection means to you. Okay, that's especially for you divine feminines. But getting back to the divine masculines here, the more, and we've channeled this in the past, the more that they are connected to their divine feminine energy, not the feminine, the distorted feminine energy. That's, sometimes we can see masculines or males in particular go too much into their feminine energy of passivity. A masculine energy is one that takes action. They are grounded, they are consistent, they are present, right? All those masculine qualities. A divine masculine, a conscious masculine, the sacred masculine is one that is in balance with both their feminine and their masculine, and it's in a healed way, in a divine way. And so the more that they are honoring of the feminine within them and their divine feminine counterpart by proxy, what they're doing is they're actually raising in their warrior template. They're raising in their masculine energy. The feminine energy goes first within the ascension connection. And so the feminine energy has to be healed first. The masculine holds the container for the feminine's healing, and then the feminine holds space for the masculine. So, and that's an energetic space too. And so as the masculine is going through their own process of ascension, they're working with the feminine energy energetically. They are healing with the feminine energy, and so their own masculine rises as a result. So they know they can trust their intuition, and there's a difference now. They know the difference between ego and intuition. They have that discernment where they don't have to believe every thought that they think. They don't have to believe other people, but it's an anchoring into themselves and their own intuition that comes from the seat of themselves, the root of their soul, because they're connected to themselves. They're aligned and coming online with themselves. And so what they showed us many months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, I can't remember, but what they showed us was a line from the higher mind, not the ego mind, but the higher mind, to the higher heart. It was like a green thread they showed me, and it was like it was coming online. And this was the alignment. This is what was beginning for their ascension journey. And so, again, connecting the higher mind, which is logic and practicality and reason, which is all beautiful masculine templates that are needed and necessary. The masculine, the divine masculine, the conscious masculine, the sacred masculine is a beautiful, powerful force that is necessary and needed. In our world as a whole, especially in nature, we see what happens when the masculine and the feminine work together. Many years ago, I was in upstate New York at the waterfalls with one of my soul sisters, and we were remarking on how the waterfall is the masculine and the feminine embodied right there in nature. Because the feminine, in her flow, if she is out of balance with herself, if she doesn't have a container within herself, then she can flood, right? But the rocks of the waterfall keeps her in essence contained, not controlled, not in a state of submission, but held. That is the divine masculine. He holds the feminine energy, knows how to hold her with love, with presence, with stability, with security, all those things that the feminine needs to be able to express herself. And divine feminine, you have been working within your own inner masculine for this, your own inner masculine, to have that container for yourself. The divine masculine, if it's as a counterpart, for example, has been working with this for themselves, but working with the feminine energy to understand and connect with their own inner masculine. so that now they're able to take action from that place of higher guidance and having the discernment between what is ego and what is higher guidance. With the reflections card here is they are beginning to see now how everything in their reality has been a reflection of beliefs that they've held about themselves or about others, how it is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. There was a huge energy coming through about worth, healing worth is what we've been talking about for the last several months, healing that sense of I'm not worthy, lack of esteem, lack of belief in oneself. And ego can kind of compensate for that, right? That's where we get into toxic masculine energy. So ego can kind of overcompensate for that, but now coming into alignment with those polarities, and beautiful alignment with those polarities is what they're saying, is that's where you find the masculine, the true divine masculine. This is a time of positive transformation and healing. I feel like it could be an actual addiction that is healing, or it could be how you feel about yourself, or how the masculine feels about themselves. And that is where the transformation is happening. Releasing that attachment. They're just showing me the devil, and the devil is, the devil energy in tarot is being attached. And what I'm seeing is like those chains falling off. Those chains falling off. And so this is because of the inner work. That's where movement happens. When you do the inner work, your physical reality is a reflection of that. And so you might have to go through some layers and levels of that shadow work in order to recognize within yourself more of yourself. So I'm going to get more for the masculine in a minute with the tarot, but I want to take a look at the divine feminine here and see what's going on with the divine feminine. This feels like a quiet energy right now, very contemplative. I feel like there's a lot happening for the divine masculine, but I'm also getting like the moon energy, where it's like not everything is being revealed right now. I feel like there's a lot that's happening for the divine masculine within themselves. There's a lot of transformation energy happening, but it's like not everything is being revealed to us, maybe through this reading, or through, our own intuition, or through what we're seeing in the physical. And that's where divine feminines allow your partner, if this is for a partner, allow your partner their journey. Allow them that space. That's where you're holding space for them. If you're putting so much focus and emphasis on them, that it creates that pressure cooker, right? Because they can feel that energy. Doesn't mean that you're not supporting them. In fact, if they're tuned into their inner feminine, they can feel that love. They can feel that support that's coming from you. And so there might be a lot that's kind of happening under the surface with this transformation. What they're actually showing me, it's very interesting. In The Little Mermaid, you know how the Little Mermaid, she makes that wish, and she gets her legs, she goes from a mermaid to getting her legs. And there's a scene where that transformation is taking place after she's met with Ursula, and she's kind of, there's all this like flash of energy, flash of light that's happening, and as this physical transformation is happening, and then she's kind of clambering up to the surface because she can no longer breathe underwater because she's a human now. She's no longer a mermaid. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting here, the transformation that's happening. I feel like they're in that, it doesn't quite feel like a cocoon, because it doesn't feel quite like a hermit energy like that. It just feels like there's this new sense of being. And what I'm hearing is that's the grounded masculine, becoming much more grounded within themselves. That's the masculine that is rising to the surface, the masculine energy within them, the new masculine template that is rising within them, the new conscious masculine that's rising to the surface. And so I feel like they're in that place of maybe in between old and new, where the old is still fading away, but there's a lot of new that's taking place, a lot of transformation that's taking place. I really like this. This is a time of positive transformation and healing. Okay, let's see what's going on for the divine feminines. What's going on for the Divine Feminines right now? Where are the Divine Feminines right now? Ooh, okay. Goddess of Knowledge. Start to apply what you already know. Trust your intuition. I feel, number one, the energy that I'm getting from this is that holding space. That's what this feels like. She is holding that energy. She's holding that light. She's holding that love. She's holding that space. But also, I feel like this is applying a new level of your journey, a new level of consciousness, and beginning to embody that new level of consciousness and putting that into practice. Now, that's going to come to you in a number of different ways, but in connection to your connection, for example, I feel like this is more so about how are you engaging, how are you interacting energetically and in physical communication. There are many of you who have been going through this process of communication, reconciliation, reunion. Again, I have a channeling here on the channel and in our sacred channelings on our Ascension Connection portal, all about reunion and reconciliation, what to do as you are coming into contact again with your counterpart, for example, and what that means, and how you can approach that. This energy feels like both energetically and in physical communication. So putting into practice everything that you have learned. Now, you can also apply that to yourself and your own physical world as changes in your physical world are taking shape. For example, if you are starting new jobs, if you are starting new projects, or if you're meeting new people or networking, or especially with regards to this Mars retrograde energy, where there might be friction or tension or conflict within the self or within situations or experiences, applying what you know, going back to the basics of your journey and applying what you know, all the resources that you have now, all the tools that you have now. You're armed with a lot of resources, with a lot of wisdom, with a lot of knowledge, but it's about embodying that. It's about putting that into practice. And so holding space for yourself and this process for your ascension journey, your life journey as a whole, which your ascension journey is your life journey. Your life journey reflects your ascension journey. Let's put it that way, right? Your physical world will now always reflect your ascension. The things that you experience is now part of your ascension journey. So looking at through that lens too will be helpful. What is this showing me? What is this teaching me? What is this opportunity for more growth, for more expansion? How can I put into practice everything that I've learned? But also leveling up, giving you the space to level up into new lessons, new learnings. And I don't mean lessons like the heavy lessons of the past when we were in our unconscious state. We were just beginning our journey. This means like higher levels of connection to yourself, higher levels of connection to God's source, more learning, more knowledge. For myself, I'll give an example. I have a ton of books that I've been reading that have just been, fiction included, that have just been opening my eyes to new levels of myself and new understandings of my ascension journey, because it's translated or said in such a way that I'm able to now apply my ascension to what it is that I'm reading, or I'm able to take what I'm reading and apply it to my ascension journey. But it also teaches me something new, or it shows me something new about myself or about my journey that kind of clicks things into place. I always say there's an intellectual understanding of spirituality, and there's the embodied understanding of spirituality. And your higher heart ascension, we go through different phases of our ascension journey, right? Your higher heart ascension journey, which many of us are in now, if you're resonating with this, you're likely in this now, is the embodiment phase. And so you can understand things intuitively, you can understand things intellectually, spiritual concepts and stuff, but it's about anchoring that in, integrating that energy, and embodying that energy. That's the real spiritual work. That's the real spirituality, right? And we don't often see that. That's what they were saying about, being stuck in the spiritual matrix, is you might understand concepts and talk about concepts intellectually, but are you embodying it? And leadership by example is when you are embodying it. And that's what is so important. The embodiment. Are you embodying that peace? Are you embodying forgiveness? Are you embodying love? Are you embodying even boundaries? Are love. If you watched our Mastering Spiritual Boundaries workshop, and we have the replay available in our portal, if you watch that Mastering spiritual boundaries are actually an invitation to invite in more love, because boundaries are teaching you and others how to be treated, how you want to be treated, in respect, in that honoring of yourself and of others. And it also shows you how to respect and honor others' journeys, to show them that it's important. Like for me, it's important to always let you know. Let me rephrase this. It's important for me as a teacher and as a guide, as a healer, whatever you want to call me. It is important for me to always remind you how important it is for you to trust yourself, to trust your own intuition, to hone that intuition, to trust in yourself and your own inner knowing. And if you've ever gotten a personal reading with me, or a healing session, or a mentoring session, then you know that I am adamant about that. It is so important for you to trust in yourself. And even in our Sacred Union energy updates, I'm constantly mentioning that. It is so important for you to trust in yourself and your own inner knowing. That is embodiment. It is embodying your connection to yourself and to God's source. And if we all do that, that is literally how the world changes. Because by connecting deeply to ourselves, only when we connect deeply to ourselves are we then able to connect deeply to others in that intimacy, in that vulnerability. And that is what bonds us to others. That is what builds the bridge with others. That's what builds those bonds with others. Not in a false attachment kind of way, but in a true unconditional love kind of way. And so going back to this Divine Feminines, I feel like you are, number one, being reminded to kind of go back to the basics and look at all the resources that you have and everything that you've learned, and apply that now in this next level of your life, this next level of yourself, but also continue in your learning, continue in your growth. And I feel like you're having opportunities, whether it's courses or classes or books or mentors or even just life itself, you're having opportunities to move into that next level. Okay, let's get into some tarot. All right, what do we need to know for the Divine Masculine at this time? What do we need to know for the Divine Masculine at this time? It's the second time I've seen the Tower card. That'll be interesting to see if it comes out. Yeah, this is interesting. The Seven of Swords has come up quite a bit lately. I don't know if in the collective readings, but definitely in some 20-25 year ahead readings. And what I actually like about the Seven of Swords is it could be one of two things. It could be this energy of deceit and self-sabotage, or it could be freeing yourself from those old blocks, freeing yourself from that old energy of deceit and self-sabotage, freeing yourself from where you were. The Seven of Swords is somebody who kind of, in essence, maybe sneaks away. So that's a very sneaky, manipulative energy in its negative sense, in its distorted sense. But also somebody who might just move on from something. And that's the energy that I'm getting here with the Page of Pentacles. It's like moving on from that old energy so that you're no longer deceiving yourself. You're no longer in that self-manipulative energy. You're no longer in that self-sabotage energy. The Page of Pentacles here feels very grounded. It feels like a fresh start. It feels like a new beginning. Moving away from that which was keeping you held back from yourself. And remember, with that God of reflection, it's a reflection of you. Anything that you are experiencing, it's reflecting you to you. It's showing you more about yourself. And that can happen in a number of different ways. It can show you who you are, or it could show you who you want to be, or it could show you who you don't want to be. You always have to take it in the context of what the universe is showing you about yourself. You always look at it as like those data points, right? So, for example, if we're talking about twin flame sacred partners and how you are each other's ultimate mirror, number one, it could be showing you, if you're in conflict with each other, for example, it could be showing you where you need to speak up more, or where you need to have more boundaries, or it could show you where you need to honor each other and honor yourself more. The mirror doesn't have to be a direct result, it doesn't have to be a direct reflection, like, oh, I'm angry at this person, so where am I actually angry at myself? It could actually be you're angry at this person because this is where your own boundaries have been betrayed, and where you need to speak up about your own boundaries, or where you need to express yourself more and not be afraid to speak up, not be afraid to be angry. There's a section in my book about sacred anger and the importance of sacred anger. And so, again, the reflection isn't always going to be what we think it is. It's not always going to be a direct reflection, but it's always going to be showing you something. As you go through your ascension journey and you meet new people, they're going to shine lights on who you want to be. And so, rather than tuning into this feeling of I'm unworthy, you use that as a motivating factor to, that's who I want to become, or that's the kind of energy I want to be in. So you use that as a motivating factor to better yourself, rather than sinking into self-sabotage, rather than sinking into blocking yourself from your blessings, blocking yourself from fresh starts from yourself, rather than kind of deceiving yourself by tuning into your ego of, oh, I'll never be that, or that's too good for me, or I can never do what that person's doing, or whatever this is. I don't even know what this is. For example, for the divine masculine, it could be somebody who has a lot of money but in an ethical way, and it could be like something like that, where that's admired. I can never do that. I can never be that because of XYZ of my physical circumstances. Well, rather than sinking into that self-sabotage and victimhood, you use that as a motivating factor, right? This Page of Pentacles is a very grounded energy, saying that a new beginning is possible. A new beginning in myself, a new beginning in who I am is possible. I don't have to give in to the old ways, those old, deceptive, ego-driven victimhood. That's also a perfect word for the Seven of Swords, that victim energy, right? I don't have to give into that old energy of my old ways of being. I can start something new. This Page of Pentacles just feels so fresh. It feels so new. Tell me more about the divine masculine. Yeah. I'm getting that this is the first step to this. And let me clarify. So the Page of Pentacles is the first step towards the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is like having everything, right? And in the past, the divine masculine maybe believed that they couldn't have everything. That's where they were in their own minds, their own ego, their own victim, their own lack and scarcity and self-sabotage energy, right? That's where the attachment was. That's where the addiction was. It was an addiction to victimhood. It was an addiction to old beliefs that said that they were unworthy, old beliefs that said that they were unlovable. And for a lot of masculines, they put the emphasis and the focus on something external. Like, I'm only worthy if I have this prestigious job, or I'm only worthy if I have this much money, or I'm only worthy if I have this type of car, or something like that, right? It was an emphasis on the physical, on the material. Well, through this journey, you recognize that you're worthy because you are. Or let's put it in this way, I am worthy because I am. And what they're doing is they're highlighting the word I am. That I am presence is that God source presence. And that's what they're connecting with now. And so moving out of that victimhood, moving out of that self-sabotage into this fresh energy of the Page of Pentacles, that is the first step. And so continuing to take those steps forward is what creates this Ten of Pentacles. This Ten of Pentacles is not far out there. It's not in a linear thing of it's way ahead of me and I have a whole journey ahead of me to get to it. This Ten of Pentacles is here and now. It's a journey, yes, but But the more that you cultivate that energy of higher level of self, higher level concept of self, and not spiritual ego, there's a huge difference, but this grounded presence, this sacredness within you, the more that you are taking those steps and finding blessings in every day, and gratitude for every day, and gratitude for everything, and continuously affirming, in essence, who you are now and who you believe yourself to be, shifting your energy around yourself, shifting your beliefs around yourself, the more this comes to fruition. And these messages are not just for the masculine. This is for the feminine, the masculine within you too, divine feminine, especially if this is resonating for you. But this is coming through as a masculine energy because that is the container with which you hold yourself. That's with the container with which you regulate your nervous system, you regulate your sense of self, you get to know yourself, you connect with yourself. That's the container in which you are held. So it's coming through for the masculine energy. The Ten of Pentacles is not some faraway dream that feels impossible, which the masculine might have believed at one time, that it was just a fantasy and I'd rather live in my fantasy than make efforts to make it come true. It comes true because of what you put into it. It comes true because you believe in it. It comes true because of the action that you take in alignment with your intuitive steps and that intuitive guidance. It comes true because of who you are and the energy that you're embodying. That Ten of Pentacles is possible, and it is here and it is now, not something far away. It is what you do here and now to create it in the everyday. Incredible, very powerful energy here. Let's get cards for the divine feminine, please. Yeah, we're gonna stick with this deck. Okay, let's get energy for the divine feminines. What is it that we need to know for the divine feminines? We have the Judgment card. Let's get some more. The Judgment card is my second chance card. It's my call to rise to the next level. And I'm getting very much connection energy here. So that second chance, that call to second chance. So this is where the inner work is important. This is where releasing old energy is important. And especially for those of you who are coming into connection with a counterpart, either in communication or energetically, doing that clearing work so that you are in a space of renewal. In reunion reconciliation, we talk a lot about how it's really important to recognize that you're a different energy, you're a different person than you have been in the past, and to recognize that your counterpart might be as well. For some, it might be a completely new counterpart, a completely new physical person and presence. For others, it's a new energy that is being embodied within that person that you've known. We talk about that in my book too. We talk about that in previous readings. I'm not going to get deep into that. That's where you trust your journey, your intuition. That's where you trust the energy, your energy, and what it is that you're receiving, what it is that you're feeling with regards to whoever you're in contact with here, whoever this person is represented for you. We talk a lot about how it's like going back to the beginning of when you first met and were activated to your journey, but now you're in a much more conscious state. And that's where you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive your counterpart because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what this journey is. This journey is a wild ride. Not only that, but it is a paradox. There's a lot of paradoxes that exist, not only within the twin flame connection, but within the ascension journey as a whole, within spirituality as a whole. And especially as we are more human and thus ego-driven, learning to understand holding two truths. That's where everything can kind of coexist. Learning how you can understand this from a human's perspective, but you also have to look at the bigger picture and see it from the soul's perspective. Two truths, right? Two perspectives. And so I feel like we've channeled for reunions and reconciliations, you're going to almost like be at the beginning where you're meeting your counterpart. You might even have that same kind of soul recognition, but you're approaching it in a much more conscious way. And that's where divine feminines, they're saying, number one, it's a second chance, but number two, it is you have the resources now, you have the tools, you have that knowledge, you have that awareness, and you can approach it differently. Now, both counterparts have to approach it differently. If a counterpart is communicating and it's the same energy, and there's a difference. If it's the same energy, you want to make sure that the actions are aligned with words, with energy. That's what it comes down to. It has to be in alignment. If it's the same energy, then is that a cycle that you want to continue? Is that a cycle that you want to be pulled back into? Right? But tune into the energy. That's how you're going to know ultimately. And that's where you've grown, Divine Feminine. That's when you have kind of expanded within yourself too. So it's going back to the beginning, whether this is the person that you've been catalyzed with, or whether this is a new conscious masculine. It's going back to the beginning of your journey where you're having that soul recognition, but you're in a much more conscious state of, you know what the journey is, you know what counterpart is, you know what the masculine and feminine polarities are, you know what union is. And it's not, you know that it's not just about the relationship, but it's about the energies that you're holding and how you're interacting and how you're engaging and how you're connecting with those energies, especially within yourself. Right? It is the sacred union path of ascension. And you don't know that at the beginning of your journey, because it's the beginning of your journey, right? You don't know what you don't know, and that's where you have to have compassion and forgive that past version of yourself, that past version of each other. That's where there is a chance of renewal here. That second chance. Yeah, the Three of Pentacles, working together now, working in partnership, where you've always wanted to work in partnership, Divine Feminine. That has always been your deepest desire. But where there might have been blocks to that because it was coming from the unconscious self, both of you kind of at odds with each other, in friction with each other, not because of each other. This is what we teach again in my book. It's not because of each other, but it's because of what you're shining lights on in each other. It's like you're shining lights on all the unhealed and wounded aspects of each other that come up to the surface. But from the highest perspective, it's done in a place of unconditional love. Like from the soul's perspective, it's unconditional love. You've met so that you can heal. You've met so that you can grow. But in the unconscious state, you don't understand that yet. Especially at the beginning of your journey, you know, you're still operating from an old template of relationship. You're still operating from an old template of connection. You're still operating from that old template. And so now, in this new template, in this higher heart ascension, working together in that partnership, in that collaboration, in that cooperation with each other. This is equal partnership. And if you've been here with me since the beginning, you know that the Three of Pentacles used to be my union card, because they showed it to me as this triangle here: God, source, masculine and feminine. And what they showed me was everything is interconnected. You're so interconnected. And then they showed me, well, it's not quite that, because the lines actually still create a kind of separation. They showed it to me more as like the Two of Cups, the masculine and the feminine pouring into that one chalice, so that there is no separation. It is complete union. That water, whatever substance that is, that energy is completely merged. You, masculine, feminine, and God's source. That does not mean that you don't have your unique personalities. You're still unique expressions of yourselves. You still have your own personalities, but the energy is much more harmonious and merged between you two, so that you are working together in that union, not against each other. Anything else we need to know for the Divine Feminine? Yep, there's that movement card. Lots of movement is still happening, even if you can't see it beneath the surface. And no kidding, look at the bottom of the deck. This is the Three of Cups. So exactly, that union energy, the merging of the two. There might still have been this little bits and pockets of separation energy, but separation is a level of consciousness, right? Or I should say a level of unconsciousness. And as you grow in consciousness, you realize that there is no separation. And that is what your sacred union journey teaches you. It teaches you there is no separation, that you are both the healer warrior. You are that new template of the healer warrior within yourself and within working partnership, conscious relationship with each other. Okay. Let's just get a card for how you might be experiencing each other right now. How might the Divine Masculine be experiencing or feeling about the Divine Feminine? How might the Divine Masculine be experiencing or feeling about the Divine Feminine? Okay. We have the card Friendship. We have the Spark card, which is that twin flame energy. Look at how they're leaning into each other, not against each other, not rejecting each other, but leaning towards each other now. And you have that self-love, and that's the only way that this works. You have that Friendship card, which is a foundation. Friendship is a foundation of everything. It is the foundation of physical relationship and physical partnership. The strongest relationships are those that begin in friendship. But also, it's number one with the self, being your own best friend too, loving yourself, honoring yourself. That's when this occurs. And Divine Feminine, how are you experiencing or feeling the Divine Masculine? Divine Feminine, how might you be experiencing or feeling the Divine Masculine? We have this energy of regret. What's that showing? Fear. You might still be, there might still be some fears cropping up with regards to who is the masculine. How are they, especially if there's this renewal, reconciliation, revival kind of energy. What am I getting at? Second chance kind of energy that's coming up, especially as you're coming into, maybe as momentum is picking up and you're feeling the energy of communication or whatever. There might still be some little pockets of how is this going to go, this fear. I'm not so much getting regret. There might be some regret around how everything played out in the past because you always wanted something different. It doesn't feel like you're hard on yourself or anything, though. It just feels like this energy of the past that might still be kind of stuck to you, and that might be important, letting go of the past, continuing to let go of the past. And it doesn't necessarily feel like you're holding on to it. It doesn't feel like resentment or anything. It just feels like some fears around who is that masculine? How is he going to show up? Who is he going to be now? You know, you yourself is different, and that's what you have to tune into. That's what you have to trust. And at a certain level, too, you have to trust your masculine to have been going through their journey as well. But you can always trust yourself to Divine Feminine. Tune into your energy. Trust in your intuition when it comes to the connection. Okay? So as little pockets of fears and stuff might be coming up with regards to communication or reconciliation or forward movement in this connection, I do feel like continue to release energy. Continue to release any of that fear that might be cropping up. And yeah, know that you're divinely supported. And this not only is you, Divine Feminine, with your spirit team in the universe, but this is also your counterpart's higher self. You know, they might display differently in their human perspective, right? And that's where you have to kind of hold space for that. And that's where you have to be in tune with yourself and your boundaries and honoring yourself and loving yourself to such a degree that you're recognizing that anything that is out of alignment, what is it that you want to engage in? But the higher self is always supporting you. The higher self is always loving you. Okay, so reunion, reconciliation, really coming through here. I also am pulling this effort card and fun, passion. Yeah, let this energy be something new. Let it be something new because you are new. You are new. You're not the same person that you were. And that is what you can trust in, especially for you, Divine Feminines. Okay, this is going to be it. I am sending you all so much love, so much light, and we'll see you next week for another Sacred Union Energy update. And make sure that you're subscribing and staying tuned for the 2025 Year Ahead Collective Reading. Sending lots of love and lots of light.